If you listen to some people, we're in a severe crisis. We're underbabied. But truly, is that really a problem? We talk about that in our latest episode of the Dan and Can podcast, where we're in the middle of a series where we're spending a few weeks talking about this whole government push of being underbabied and that the reproduction rate's starting to drop where it's not a replace and grow type thing. It's a leveling out and it's getting really close to being decrease in population. And then the evangelicals coming out and saying, no matter if you can afford them or not, your main job is to get married young, and have as many babies as you possibly can through your reproductive life so that you can repopulate this world. And in their case, for Jesus and Christ, and get that message pushed out and legislated throughout the land. But the thing is are we truly in a population crisis? I think a lot of it, if you look at graphs of how population has grown, you can see that it was kind of steady, a slow, steady incline from, I don't know, the year zero, even farther back to the 1800s. Then a little bump up in the 1800s, but not much. Then you get to the 1920s or so, late 1800s maybe, and all of a sudden it starts shooting up. And it's a steep climb upwards. And it's basically because we had better advances on lifestyle, medical advances, infant mortality rates going down. People living longer because of the better nutrition and exercise and lifestyles and medicine that advanced, and everyone was benefiting from this. So population increased. You had more generations living, seeing the younger generations coming in. So it boomed, it got huge. And the thing is people started realizing that. I think you started feeling the effect of that. People started saying, hey, we're doing all right now. We don't need to have 10, 15 kids now because we're not losing 4 or 5 of them before they're 5 years old. We're able to keep them alive and keep them until they grow up into teens, adults, and furthermore. So we don't need to have all these numbers for insurance purposes to cover our asses to grow the crops and everything like that. And then again, we don't need a whole bunch of kids to run the family farms and business anymore, becoming more of a worker society and working for the man. So we don't need to keep doing this. And I think, just like in nature, we're following that trend. We're feeling the stress of that. You think of things of, I know around here when deer populations get out of control, they put out more hunting licenses because they want to prevent disease spreading and the landscape going by. The famous one in Yellowstone, when they took the gray wolves out in the 20s and the elk population blew up and just changed the whole landscape around there and decreased a lot of the other nature that was going on, whether it be plants or animals that were coming. And then they reintroduced it and it found its balance. I think we're naturally starting to feel our balance now. We don't have this need to keep producing to continue our species. We're doing fine with the advances in science and technology that we have. So we're feeling the stress of having all this stuff, the stress of not being able to afford health care for these children, not being able to feed them, not being able to house them, because life is just so expensive and stressful. So we're waiting to have kids, getting feet underneath us, understanding ourselves a little better, finding partners that are more suitable to us because we know ourselves and they know themselves and we know what we're getting into. And we're having less kids because we simply don't need to have so many anymore.